Hi folks, this is Danny at Bradley James Classics, and today's classic car is a highly recognisable Morris 1100 registered in January 1971. Now this is super special because I doubt you're going to see many Morris 1100s which have only got 16,000 miles on it. History traces right back to when this car was new, and it's in a ultra rare colour that's called lime flower, which is a beautiful period colour from the 70s. And I do have some lovely information that comes with this car, and I believe anyone who is lucky enough to go on to own this car will have a extremely original and unmolested example of the well-loved Morris 1100. Obviously Austin 1300, MGs, Fun & Places, Wolseleys, Innocentes. There's so many different variants of the 1100. Actually, they were referred to as ADO 16. ADO was Amalgamated Drawing Office Project 16. There we are, getting a bit geeky. Designed by Pinning and Pininfarina, of course, and that Italian design was used on a lot of British Leyland cars of that era. And this is an absolutely super example of a Mark II Morris. Now I'm going to go around slowly so you can see just how lovely and original this car is. It's lovely that the car comes with its original handbook and the sort of paperwork, which I'll show you last because I popped it in the boot. But let's start with a corner of the car to look around. Let's start at the back here. So as you can see from the badge, it's a Mark II. They did make a Mark III right at the end, but this is a Mark II model. I'm going to slowly walk around the car and I'm going to comment on panels as I go. The rear chrome bumper looks to be in excellent condition with overriders and number plate lights, all very good. The bonnet, I'm going to get very close if I see any imperfections. There's a very slight mark here, which of course could be touched up, but it hasn't been. Bright shiny paintwork all round, and the rear wing has got a little mark down here. Very good otherwise around that arch. Into the rear door panel, the glass is bright, not scratched, dent free, and excellent paintwork on the roof. Now this door has had a bit of a touch up here where it looks like it's a parking scratch, and if I get down very low here I can see some micro blistering and a little bit of imperfection at the bottom of the door, but I'm being very fussy and I'm getting very close to see that. The front near side wing appears to be in excellent condition. The wheels are painted and the hubcaps look as new. Moving through to that front wing, excellent bodywork all around the headlamps, and even this junction between the grille and the bumper looks to be very good all the way through. That's usually an area that get a bit flaky because of the laying water, but not with this. Chrome work excellent on the front as well. Nice bonnet. There's going to be a few chips here and a little bit of a score in the paint here, but again I'm looking at what looks to be lots of original paintwork. Undoubtedly the car would have had some restoration over the years to stay this good. In fact, there are some notes in the history folder which talk about some repair work, but certainly I'm going to go through a list of what's been done in a thorough recommission that happened to the car in 2019. The car had been off the road for several years in a garage, hence remarkable low mileage. A very good front offside wing, Excellent door. Again, if I get down very low, I can see just a little bit of a mark here, but again, I'm being very fussy, and it looks as if there's been a bit of paint touched up here. The rear door looks excellent. The back arch is sound. All good glass and chrome down this side, and I'm back to the corner that we started in. So we've just had a look around the car together, and then when I step back a few feet, all of those imperfections, in which there are just a few, are difficult to spot from a distance of a few feet away. Nice period number plates. Now, they're not the sort of black and silver ones, but they are certainly of the era. There looks to be a dealer sticker up in the rear screen, which is very nice. We're going to have a look inside in a moment, and I can assure you that is absolutely marvellous inside. And you may have noticed there is a virtually brand new set of tyres on here as well, all round, including the spare. In fact, the spare still has the sticker on it. I'm going to show you under the bonnet, and I think you're going to like what you see. I'm going to do my usual one-handed lifting of the bonnet operation, which is not easy when you're holding the camera, but I can usually do it. There we go. Okay, so, well, this really does look good. Some of my customers ring up and say, look, I want a car to take to a car show. What have you got? I would have to be saying to them, this would have to be a very strong contender of a car you could just drive straight to the car show and expect to do fairly well, because the originality of this is superb. So as I look in the engine bay, I can see a very shiny bulkhead. I'm not seeing all the usual sort of rustiness on the inside. I'm going to go for a list of all the new stuff, but it's pretty obvious that you can see the clutch and brake master cylinders are new. You can see that's a new battery. In fact, I can tell you without stealing my thunder that all the engine has been out and painted in all the correct colours. New timing chain is fitted and new gaskets throughout. It's got a new water pump. It's got a alternator conversion, dynamo off and regulator box off, and a alternator fitted, which is probably not a bad idea for better power. The radiator looks perfectly good. It looks to have all been painted in components like the wiper motor. There's all the commission number and slam panels, and you can see all the numbers are intact, and it looks as if they've got a Cooper's filter in there with a sticker. Lovely polished up carb, and whatever angle you look at it, the engine does look lovely in all its correct colour. And under here, this is very common to see these on these A-series engines, and that just really helps keep the moisture off of the distributor cap and leads. So super clean, and a real credit to the owner to keep his engine bay in such good condition. Let's drop that down. Okay, so let's have a look on in the interior. So the first thing I noticed is when those doors shut, they shut perfectly well with excellent panel gaps all round, as you would expect. And just look how good. Dashboard, I love the Morris version because it's a different, and it sort of pushes that little orange marker. It goes from left to right the faster you go, and there's your 16,000 miles here. Switch gear, as you'd imagine, in perfect condition. I'm going to sit inside so we can have a closer look at some of this interior together, and you can just feel how it's just not worn out the steering wheel. It's a lovely period radio mobile. Someone's added a cigarette lighter, which is handy for charging up your phone, and even the gear knob, you can just see that that's not worn, and it's extremely good. And just the simple, you have got a choke here, but it just purrs the engine, really starts very easily. So interior is you've got a little bit of a split in the seat here, but the carpets are lovely and original. Door cards great, and the all of the lining at the top is in very good condition as well. Rear seat perfect, lovely rear parcel shelf, some period stereo speakers that go with the radio here. All of the interior is super original. Now, I have made a couple of notes from having looked through the service record, and there's a lovely exchange between the more recent owner and the very first owners, and they talk about having gone away to their honeymoon in this car, having it sat in the garage for many years, somebody local taking it on, which would have been the second owner. So this really has predominantly been a two-owner vehicle, and then the third owner bought it and has owned it for a short time this year, and this is where we've got the car from. But just so you know, a few facts. The Morris 1100, we spoke about its project name being the AD016. It was made between 1962 and 1974. This is a Mark II model. It finished with a Mark III. All these Morrises were assembled in Cowley, where the Austins were made in Longbridge. The actual interior size is very similar to the Cortina of the time, so it would have been a Mark I, Mark II Cortina. So despite them being a small car, actually surprisingly spacious inside. The well-loved and well-used BMC A-series engine is mounted transversely. This had the legendary hydroelastic suspension that really gives you that wonderful smooth ride, but it doesn't roll too much in the corners, and it really does mean that even if you're on an uneven surface, the hydroelastic suspension was legendary at soaking up all the bumps. So a very comfortable car to drive. With 16,000 miles in the engine, as you could imagine, it's full of life, and it really does, well, you just heard it when I started it there, like a little sewing machine running. It did have front discs. This car does have front disc brakes, so it does stop very well, and sort of sprightly performance. It's a modern, it's a classic which can keep up with modern traffic, so I think you'll be quite happy with its performance. I did mention that the car was fully recommissioned, having been off the road for several years in 2019. This is where we saw the engine being painted, a new timing chain, gaskets, fluids, suspension, brakes, tyres, battery, ignition, etc, etc. And I could see there was a water pump, I could see there was an alternator, so there's a huge list of work that was done on the car. So I'm just going to finish off by showing you the folder that comes with the car that's sat in the boot. Let me just open up the back so you can see just in how good a condition that rear seat is. I mean, that is just, well, it's in remarkably good condition, as is that rear panel. And I don't think this interior has seen a lot of use at all. Obviously only 16,000 miles would be impressive on a new car, and when we lift those carpets up, I mean, it's just uncanny. I mean, 2 sets of maps, which is probably an indicator of how much this car was cared for. I'm just going to open up the boot and show you the size of it for those who don't know. But that's quite an impressive boot space. I think I mentioned to you there was a set of 5 tyres, and you can see that's a brand new spare, and it has the tools underneath this little shelf. There's a letter from the previous owner's handbook, and even the driver's handbook folder, which come from British Leyland, a service passport, and just a host of information about the car inside. A second key there, key fob, and of course that's all coming with the car. So just to summarise, a 1971 Morris 1100 Mark II. It's a little more expensive than some of the other Austin 1300s and Morris 1100s, 1300s you'll see. However, I think at 16,000 miles with this big recent spend, super rare colour, apparently 3 left out of the 2.1 million that were made. Half of those numbers of this car stayed in the UK, the other half pretty much went to export, so they're just not going to see very many, certainly not in this mileage and this in condition. This is a unique opportunity to really own a bit of British motoring history, an affordable classic, which I think could prove a wise investment, because it doesn't matter how well you restore a car and how much work you do, you can't buy back that super low mileage and just how original this one is. I've and pointed out some minor imperfections here and there on the paintwork, but they are minor. I've mentioned the perfect chrome, how good mechanically this car is and how well it drives. Now, we put all of our cars through our own workshop, we have a thorough PDI. We can organise full UK transportation at very competitive rates, and we do look after our customers extremely well. We sell a lot of classic cars, and we are ourselves enthusiasts, and we know exactly how these cars need to be set up before they come to you. This one already has gone through the mill and it drives beautifully. I've been driving it today and it's an absolute pleasure to drive, and it's in stock now. It's only just come in. Good examples like this sell quickly, so please do get in touch while she's still available. Thank you for bearing with me, and it's Danny at Bradley James Classics signing out.